Okay, it's right at the top of the hour, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining today's webinar. We're going to be focusing on Viewpoint Scripts. Our agenda for today includes a brief introduction, a discussion about scripting, and then I'm going to show you in live demonstrations several different exciting examples that I've created just for today's session. We should have some time at the end for Q&A. My name is Brandy Lulling, and I am the team leader for the BI support team. I've been with Fortra for just over 18 years, although it doesn't seem that long. And for 16 of those, I've been working with our BI tools. Now, it came from a background with system administration on the AS400 iSeries system, and I made the jump to the database world. It was pretty new, a little scary, but definitely exciting. And I can tell you firsthand that Fortra SQL made it a lot easier to make that transition. SQL is a powerful yet user-friendly BI tool that allows your IT business staff to create and deploy exciting reports with just a few clicks of the mouse. SQL is true data empowerment. Whether you're creating views, pivot tables, executive reports, even dashboards, you can do so many things very easily over the data from your local IBMI system, a remote IBMI or another LPAR, or even a wide number of other databases. SQL also makes your more complex job processes very easy with our scripts and script views, which is why we're here today. Now, your staff can create or access, deploy, and even analyze your live data using our Windows interface called Viewpoint, or they can easily access data through a web browser using our SQL web interface product. And if you have users who truly prefer working in Excel, and I know we all do, right? We also have a solution for them, which is our very easy to use Excel add-in. All right, so let's get into a little bit more about scripts specifically. With a SQL script, you can create a single object for users to deploy that is going to run multiple steps behind the scenes. These steps can include things like the creation of work files, pulling data from other databases, or even displaying results from multiple views. Scripts themselves are very similar to a CL program, and that you can run multiple commands. You can handle internal and external variables and run various CL commands like, say, mon message or even the update of a data area. However, scripts do not need to be compiled, and they also don't need to start with the PGM or end with the end PGM commands. In fact, you can actually import your CL source code into a script, just like you can import a Query 400 query into a view. Now, the beauty of scripts is that they can be run from Viewpoint either in batch or interactively. They can also be run from SWI or SQL web interface. You can run them from a command line, again, in batch or interactively. You can run them from a CL, or you can schedule them to run through robot job schedule or another IBMI job scheduler. Script views, on the other hand, they're very similar to scripts. They are a newer feature of Viewpoint that still allow for those multiple job steps, variables, CL commands, and so on. But the final command is going to be a bit different than it is in an actual script. The script views final command is sc return, which is a SQL command that's only valid inside of a script view. This command allows the output results of the script view to be a single set of data, and it can be easily directed to varying output types, just like a view can. Script views can also be run from Viewpoint interactively in batch, SWI, command line, or schedule. They can also be added to a dashboard, and they can be added to an Excel spreadsheet using the Excel add-in. All right, let's go ahead and do share my screen here. Get to the fun stuff. Okay. So I've got several different examples of scripts that I've created for you. Feel free to take screenshots or ask questions about any of them. I'm going to go through several of these, if not all of them, and show you exactly what they can do. Just some, basic high level of some of the cool features that we have in scripting. And along the way, I'll point out some of the additional bells and whistles that scripts have for you. So we'll just start top down. We'll first start with a script that I've set up. We actually have 4 different commands in here. They all do the same thing. They're doing an execute, which means that's our command to create output of the same view, same format. I just picked on an XLSX because it's probably the most popular. But you can see in the toStream file, we're sending it to an IFS directory. And then I've got a variable for the date, the time, the date and time, or the timestamp. These are all just different options that you can use to append any one of, that set of information to the file name. So if you have a view that needs to be run multiple times a day, you probably don't want to add the date. You would want to do timestamp or date and time or even just time. But if it's something that's run once a day or once every couple weeks or whatever, appending a date could be just, unique enough for you to be successful. All of these are variables that are defined in the script as no prompt variables, and we're just passing in values so that we can calculate behind the scenes what the value should be. So I'm going to use our option to step, which means to run one command at a time. And then when that command is done, we get set and ready to run the next command. Obviously, the syntax that's commented out isn't a command. It just gets skipped over. So once you run one line, you can see that out the bottom that we appended the current date. And then we get kind of a bit of a job log of how many records were added, and that we created that output. So if we were to go to the IFS, we would be able to see a file now called customer listing 2023-0511.xlsx in the TMP directory. If we take the step option once more, it'll run line 7. And we can see now we have the current time. And again, this one is going to give us the current date and current time. But if you prefer, you can do that as a timestamp. At any point in time, if you want to comment out any one of these commands, you most certainly can by using the /*//, or we do have a shortcut up in the toolbar. Just put your cursor on the line that you want to make a comment, and we will do that for you. The opposite is obviously uncomment, and we have a toggle. The next example that I wanted to share is something a little bit more specific to SQL, but it's a call that we get a lot in support. So the scenario is I need to look for a file name, maybe either because the file name is changing, or I just want to know which views are using this file, and I don't know what they are. So how can I find out which views or which objects are using a specific view, specific file? Sorry. So I am going to just go ahead and run this one instead of stepping through it. Now, when you're in a script, whether you're running the first line only or the first and second line, you're going to get prompted up front for all of the variables. So SQL-EX is coming from line 3, where I'm prompting for the library of the views I want to look in. File name is coming from line 4, where I've created an SQL statement to pull the information from line 3, and I want to see just that information that matches a particular file. So we're going to go ahead and run this. So I am using the display view D, or the display view description command, to pull all views in the given library, SQL-EX. We created an out file in QTemp, and then I wrote a view or an SQL statement over that out file, looking for custmast. So we can see here, this is the list of views that are using the custmast file in SQL-EX. All right, continuing on, we do have some file control commands that are available in the SQL product that can be utilized in a script or natively in a CL or from a command line. And these are insert, update, and delete. So if we take a look here, I've kind of got a little scenario set up. We will go ahead and step again. I'm just going to display the results of this SQL statement. I'm looking for address list where user profile equals Dan. And we can see we don't have one right now. And because we don't have one, I want to insert a record for Dan. And then we'll take a look and verify that it was inserted. Now we have a user profile Dan with his email address. But maybe then we realize, you know what? We just renamed our company, changed our email domain. I meant to do Dan at Fortra instead of Dan at Help Systems. So we can use the update command to make that change. Now when we display, instead of Dan at Help Systems, it's Dan at Fortra. And then finally, maybe change your mind altogether and you don't want Dan to get emails no matter what. We can use the delete command. And when we display, we're right back at the beginning where there is no records for Dan. So insert, update, delete, all of those are in the SQL library. Now we've got a few here that are similar. We're going to look at using an if condition. So what the if condition is going to do is build some logic into the script. So we're saying if this value that we're going to prompt the users for equals details, I want to display this view. If it's active, I want to display this view, and so on. So let's just go ahead and step through it. We will get prompted. So I'll choose details this first time around. And you can see the logic that is happening. So details is equal to details. That's down here at the very bottom. So it's highlighted line 4. So when we step again, it's going to run line 4, which is a display of that view. And we'll just keep stepping through it so you can see the logic behind the scenes. So because those conditions that we chose did not equal details, only the very first one, the rest of them are skipped. To see it just a little bit faster, here we'll choose type. And you can kind of see how it runs through that logic for us. It's stopping at the type view because that's the value that we entered. So that is if condition. We can also use view. If we did have internal variables, we could use view internal variables to display what the value is that you passed in, or because these are kind of external variables, we would come to the variables tab to see how we entered those. The next two are both using if condition. I just wanted to show two different examples, two different things that you can do with this. So if condition is very helpful if you potentially have a view or running an object that doesn't always return records, but you need to be notified if there's no records. So we run the view, or in this case, just an SQL statement, and we send that to an out file. And then we are looking at that out file and we're selecting the number 1. If there's records that were written to qtemp test file, then we'll display the view. If there weren't, then we're just going to display this statement. No records found, make another selection. So let's go ahead and step through these. We'll do it for A the first time. You can see down here that we have 56 records. So if condition select 1 is going to find records, then we're going to display the cust list view. We don't need the else because we were able to satisfy our needs on lines 5 and 7. If we choose, say, X, that's not a valid status. So we get no records selected down at the bottom. And we skip the display and we go right to the else section. So this is great, a great option if you're doing things interactively. But a lot of times what we have found is you guys will call into support and say, I'm getting the email, and sometimes it just doesn't email, and we don't know if there's a problem with the email program or if there's a problem and we didn't have any records. So they, you want to be emailed something saying, hey, there's no records. So we can do that as well. Same execute to an out file, same if condition, and instead of display, we are emailing. Or if there's no records, we're emailing with a subject of no results. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose X this time. And you can see it run through. And then when that email comes, I will drag it over for you so you can see what it looks like. But it will be no results from cust list using status X, because that's what I chose in the variable. And it is here. Let me just drag it over. So that is one way that you can very easily tell if there's any results coming back. If there was, you would just get an attachment, but in this case, at least you get notified that there wasn't anything. All right, so these next two, I'm actually going to start with the script, and we're going to right click on it and just take a look at the options. So from here, you can run or submit the script. You can create a shortcut, get into properties and so on. You do have the options for new, but it's not going to use anything in the script. It would be the same as if you went up to the new option up here, or if you went to the new tab and selected view or table. Oops, I didn't mean to click on that. We'll close that up real quick. However, if you right click on a script view, you have the new options, but you can use the script view to build a report or a table or an application. But you do also have the options, just like in a view, to save the results, to email, or to print. So if we take a look at save results, and we'll just create a PC file, what's going to happen is all of the steps in the script view will run, and then we're going to create the output, in this case, an XLS file to my desktop with the final results. So again, those options aren't available in a script, just a script view. So when you add this maybe to a dashboard, or your users just run it from Viewpoint or from a shortcut or the browser, all of these steps are going to run, but to them, they only see the results from this SQL statement, or you can put a view in here instead. So when you display it from Viewpoint, we run all those steps and we display that final output. If you were to look at a script that does the same exact commands except the last line, oh, I think I just opened the same object. My apologies. Let's get back out of here and we're going to open the script this time. So we still have our two executes, but instead of SC return, we have display. And we can display the results, and from Viewpoint, it's going to look the same. But you can't add a script to a dashboard unless it's in an action button. From the browser, it could potentially look different depending on some of your SQL web interface settings. You might not have the option to create output from it. It would just be a display. So there's a couple differences between the scripts and the script views. Now, when you are in Viewpoint and you filter on the type like I have here, script views and scripts both show up. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the joining on the multiple databases, because I know that this is something that a lot of people are really excited about. So in this instance, I have this example that we're pulling from our local system, which we call HS44, and also from Sparky, and then a final view with the final set of results. So again, we'll step, but maybe this time I don't want to continue on with the step. I want to stop it. So you can use the end script button to do that. And this time, maybe I want to start on line 7. So you can right click and step from line 7. So you run just that one line. Again, you can stop it if you'd like. All right, so we will just run it this time. So now what we have completed is pulling data from the HS44 system, from the Sparky system, and then this final view is over HS44, Sparky, and the system that I'm on called Vaughn. And we get those final results. Now, because it's a script view, we do also have the opportunity to add those subtotals, the dynamic subtotals, and final totals at the very end. And then you can always export to Excel if you would like, or save results as. Or you do have the freedom, again, because it's a script view, to display the results directly into an Excel, or save or email them. Whenever that runs, again, all of those steps will run so you get your live most up-to-date data. All right, we've got just a few more examples. Thanks for sticking with me. I know we're getting down towards the bottom of the hour. So this is a pretty powerful command, and I really wanted to make sure that you guys all saw it. It's the run command. And what this does is allow you to do a recursive run. So we are running the execute command multiple times, depending on the data that's in the view that's specified at the end of the run command. So what I did here, because this command is very long, and instead of scrolling back and forth, I just clicked on it once to display it all at the bottom of the screen. You can also double click on it and it'll open it up in kind of a little sub window if you'd like. So this is another example of the difference between scripts and CLs. I know CLs you wrap. With a script, the command is just one big long text string. All right, so back to the run command. We're going to run execute. We're going to run this particular view. as many times as there are records in this view. We are going to pass in the email address that's coming from the address list view, and we're going to pass in the user profile also coming from this address list. So this gets used a lot to break apart invoices, sales information, even pay statements. You know, maybe all of your sales information, for example, for your individual salespeople are all in one file. And of course, you don't want Joe to see John's or Jane to see Amy's. So you would use the run command functionality to burst the reports. I will go ahead and run that. I do have a couple example emails that'll come, and I can drag those over when they get here. Now, behind the scenes in this particular view, I've got, it's really just a list of user profiles and their coordinating email addresses. So I kind of cheated, I've got a couple entries that come to my email address for different users. But you can see we've got Brandy L as one of the users. And we'll be able to see this because I put it into the view, the value into the view. So we're going to pull up the customer information and their current balance and remaining credit. And I'm only getting the information for that particular salesperson, if you will, as opposed to this other email that's for Brandy L2. And we're going to have bursted or just received the information just for that salesperson. Now, in real world, obviously the same person wouldn't be getting, the same email address wouldn't be set up for the couple different salespeople or user IDs, but for ease of use for explanation purposes, I got that set up here. So again, that is the run command. Now, I do have a command that's hidden or commented out, but I want to display that for you. So we're going to just step from line 6. And this is the command that is feeding, if you will, the execute. So we actually, every time I run this run command, 4 different emails get sent. 2 to me, 1 to Simone, and 1 to Rich. I just wanted to have you see what that looks like. And again, that's the view that gets run in the end of the run command. All right, so the final 3 are all very similar. So we're going to go through them pretty quick. This is how to send an email to the users that are running the script. This particular option prompts for the user, but it's a no prompt. And then we use the built-in function *user and then the eSend address book. So automatically when this runs, it's going to recognize the user profile that's logged in, go out to the eSend address book, make that correlation, and send the email on its way. Another option to be able to do that same type of thing, if you don't have eSend address book, and that part of eSend is available with the enhanced functionality of eSend, you can prompt for the recipient, again using a no prompt, and then have a source physical file that holds that information. So when we run it, again, you don't get prompted, but it does figure out for you from that file what email address it needs to be sent to. And then finally, the last one is a partial prompt. So if you don't have the eSend address book, you don't have a source physical file, or you don't have anybody on site that can create one for you, we can prompt for the user and then pass in the domain. So it helps with actually running. So the domain is still not prompted, and it lists what we need. So when you are prompted, you just enter your user email portion and it will append the domain for you. All right, so Go back to our PowerPoint here. Lots of examples. Hopefully they didn't go too fast and you were able to grab some screenshots or get some good ideas of how you can utilize the scripts and the script views. I know we're kind of at the bottom of the hour here, so if we don't have time for Q&A, don't hesitate to still submit your questions. And like I said at the beginning, either myself or someone on the BI team will be happy to reach back out and answer the questions that you may have. I want to just take a second to say thank you for joining. I do hope you had some fun, learned something along the way, got some good ideas of what you could do. Don't ever hesitate to reach out to support. We're happy to help with any how-tos or kind of just walk you through a process, kind of bounce, we're great at, having people bounce ideas off of us. Please don't hesitate to reach out. You can create your own support case through our community portal. You can email us or give us a call. All right, we are at the bottom of the hour. So again, thank you so much for joining. Feel free to submit your questions and we will get back with you. Have a great rest of your day.